What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Wednesday, June 28th, 2017. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the busiest lady in the industry, Andrea Renee.
Greg, can I just start the show by saying I feel vindicated that Days Gone was playable at E3?
I'm so furious at Eric Jensen that he did not say, oh, Greg, you're a judge. Why don't you play this? That's why you didn't get nominated for anything, Eric. You were asleep at the wheel. John Garvin, asleep at the wheel. All of you.
Next time,
Yeah.
when you're a judge,
Yeah.
you start the conversation at the booth and say, I'm a judge. What do I get to play? And
Yeah.
they'll be like, come to our private air-conditioned room with snacks and play these games no one else gets to play.
Okay. Maybe you should. Well, I'll get the robes next time and the gavel, and then you can walk around with like a clipboard and be like, excuse me, this is Greg Miller as a judge. Please get out of the way.
No, I'll do that for myself and be like, excuse me, Andrea Renee's a judge.
Yeah.
Someday I'll be a judge.
I bet you will be next year.
Well, the thing is I've never been an executive editor at an outlet, so it's generally the executive editor or the editor-in-chief who's invited from the outlet to be the judge. And sometimes those people delegate that responsibility to somebody on their team because they're too busy to go and do it themselves. And I've, moved teams so many times that I've never gotten to be a judge. Been to Judges Week, though, several times.
Fun times, right?
Yeah.
Bopping around Santa Monica, seeing what's happening.
Just love the water. It's so great.
The water. That's
All
what
right, I didn't mean to digress, but
You're allowed to digress.
I wanted to
This
get that
show's
vindication in.
Conversational show. You're right. I was wrong. You should have just gone and posted it at kindafunny.com/ you're wrong. That's where you, the people watching right now as we record this live, can go. Tell us what we're wrong. Keep us honest. Remember, if you are watching live on Twitch, we will do subs and tips after we go off the air, quote unquote, when we're done with this show. Because Kinda Funny Games Daily is your daily deep dive into the world of video game news. We put it up on youtube.com/kindafunnygames and podcast services around the globe. So please subscribe to both of those. Rate us on all of that. Thumbs up. Put the 5 stars on there. Even if you're only consuming it live on Twitch as we record it, please make sure you rate us. We're still a new podcast. We got a lot of ground to make up and do cool things with. And these motherfuckers at Car Talk are going to get what's coming to them. Some housekeeping before we jump into it. Next week, we're at RTX. Our panel for Kinda Funny is on Saturday. Come out and see us. We're beating the crap out of Mega 64 and Screw Attack as well. I think that's on Friday night, but our panel, the one you can't miss, Saturday of RTX. This also means a few different things for next week's programming schedule. Kinda Funny Games Daily and the Kinda Funny Morning Show will be on hiatus next week because there is a 4th of July in the middle of it. If you're not from around here, you're not in one of these United States parts where we want to go blow stuff up with fireworks and drink beer. We'll be doing that, which then screws up the schedule. I'll be in Missouri. You're going to be in Europe, or no, you're in Italy.
I'm in Chicago for the 4th, and then on the 5th we fly to Italy.
Danny O'Dwyer's still in Europe. I don't even know if he
When's he
exists
coming
anymore.
back?
Right after that. When the week we come back with Kinda Funny Games Daily, it's all Danny all the time. We're gonna beat him like a rented mule for not being around for so long. But yeah, he'll be here,
nice
you'll
to
be
Danny.
gone. Then the week after that, we're all back together, and then we get a real, hey, this is what we planned the show to look like.
Exactly.
But so yeah, but what's important about next week while we're off the air not doing the shows, the inmates are running the asylum. Kevin, Andy, Joey, and Cool Greg will all be here streaming video games at 11 a.m. on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames if you want to pop in and see that. Game Over Greggy Show, Gamescast, they run just as normal. Actually, we're doing extra Game Over Greggy Show episodes that never got released as exclusive, so that's going on. Remember, I need you to be part of this show, so write into kindafunny.com/KFGD with your questions about the day's news, like so many people have. Andrea, let's begin the show.
All right.
With what is, and forever will be, the Roper Report. Time for some news! That one, it was like increasing. It's like a bomb.
It's getting
Okay, all right, jeez. There are, I think I kept it short today. Yeah, 2 items on the Roper Report. A baker's dozen. Starting with number 1, the Game Critics Best of E3 Awards are out. We talked about the nominations. Now we have winners.
Yes.
Because Jeff runs a tight ship over there.
He does.
He yelled at me and said, vote. I voted. Here we go. The 38 global media outlets that vote on the Games Critic Awards are happy to announce the winners for E3 2017. Best of Show, Super Mario Odyssey. Best Original Game, Mario plus Rabbids Battle Kingdom. Best Console Game, Super Mario Odyssey. Best VR Game, Lone Echo. Best PC Game, Destiny 2. Best Handheld Game, Metroid Samus Returns. Best Hardware/Peripheral, Xbox One X. Best Action Game, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. Best Action Adventure Game, Super Mario Odyssey. Best Role-Playing Game, Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom. Best Racing Game, Forza Motorsport 7. Best fighting game, Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Best sports game, FIFA 18. Best strategy game, Mario plus Rabbids Battle Kingdom. Best family game, Hidden Agenda. Best online multiplayer, Star Wars Battlefront 2. And best independent game, The Artful Escape. What do you think, Andrea?
I think it's no surprise that Super Mario Odyssey dominates this list. It certainly dominated the conversation the week of E3. Everybody that I spoke to that got hands-on with the game absolutely loved their time with it. It's time for a new 3D Mario, and it has a really nice, fresh perspective that we haven't seen. I remember when it was first announced last year, I was skeptical. A lot of us were skeptical. We're like, what is this weird new Mario? And then after seeing, lengthy gameplay this time around, I'm very excited for this game to come out.
Yeah, I can't wait either. It's for me, after I nominated my games or whatever, and you get back the ballot, if Mario was there, I voted for it. That's just, I think it was, as we talked about at our own, kind of funny awards, it was my game of the show. That was the one I thought did the most impressive demo. It was the most fun to play. I liked everything about it. So to see it on here compared to everything that was playable, because remember, stuff that wasn't playable, like Spider-Man, disqualified. You had to have 5 minutes at least of hands-on time for judges. Yeah, I thought it was great. I was happy to see it. I was surprised to see Mario plus Rabbids Battle Kingdom win Best Strategy Game, because there is that XCOM expansion, and this is kind of copying XCOM in not in a bad way. I mean, it's strategy, but it is oh, that's interesting. And I wonder how much. And there's something to be said for the fact that Mario plus Rabbids is accessible XCOM. This is that, hey, you've been intimidated by what you see when you look at an XCOM game, or you're not, you feel like that's too intense for you. Here's a way to try these mechanics and understand them in a way you maybe didn't before.
Sure, I don't know if that makes it deserving of that award. I didn't get hands-on with the expansion for XCOM, so I can't speak to that gameplay. I did play Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle and really enjoyed it and had a great time. I didn't play enough of it to really see how deep the strategy level goes. I love the graphics, and the characters are so whimsical, and I'm a huge Rabbids fan, so just the audio design.
What do you like about Rabbids?
They're just so stupid. That's what's great about them. They're just, these cute little roly-poly characters who just emote with words. I mean, with sounds. Yeah. It doesn't matter what language you speak. You can understand what they're trying to express because of the way that they've been designed. And to me, that speaks volumes about their creation as characters and how they can cross, cultures and languages, and how they can kind of, grab onto that inner child in all of us and say, it's okay to be wacky and goofy.
Sure. What Rabbid game stands out? Rabbids, for me, pop around the Wii, right? I remember the original Wii when they started popping up, and they were everywhere, and there was party games and all this jazz.
Well, the one game that I played the most was Rabbids TV Party. Okay. And that's, like most of the Rabbids games, it's just a collection of mini games. But what was fun about them is that, you sit down with a bunch of your friends, you all have a Wiimote, and you just do these really goofy mini party games. Sure. And they're just funny. It's a nice change of pace to play a game where all you do is kind of giggle and laugh and let yourself be a little ridiculous.
Sure. I mean, that was my thing, is coming in, the key art that got leaked for Mario plus Rabbids was man, I really do not like the Rabbids still. I don't like them. No. But then when I watched the trailer and I watched the demo, I was like, all right. You know what I mean? The gameplay looks cool, and it is something different for me to play on Switch, which I'm all about. I don't like the whole let's follow the Roomba around and walk around the world map.
It does look like a Roomba.
But when you get into the actual combat and the actual gameplay, but I was like, all right, this actually seems like it'll be fun and interesting.
Yeah, the exploration elements of that game are something that I hope they show more of in the near future, because what they showed at E3 didn't really feel like exploration. It felt like, okay, there's some coins over here, and I'm grabbing the coins, and then now I'm in another battle arena. And they really tried to emphasize that the game is split between strategy and exploration, but I didn't see the exploration. So they really have to amp that up. Yeah.
I find it funny that, and this isn't because I voted for it for this category, but best family game is what it was left at, and it's Hidden Agenda.
I don't know if that's a family game.
The way on the ballot it was best family game / party game.
Okay.
So what you want to bum around your house and play with, you know what I mean? So examples would be singing games, or rock, you know what I mean, Rock Band or this, or is it going to be something like Jackbox Party Pack? And Hidden Agenda, which we've talked about on this, kind of funny Games Daily before, I missed it for the most part of the show. And then when I went back and watched all the stuff and talked to people who played it, it was like, oh, right, fuck, this is awesome. A game from Supermassive, unfortunately revealed during that PlayStation pre-show that people were or weren't paying attention to. But
Sony.
The idea of an Until Dawn, it's one of their, what are they calling them? The party play ones? PlayStation Playlink, thank you very much. Where you're playing with your phone and you're making choices together and then moving it around, and everybody gets hidden agenda cards, so you're playing and making choices based on that. It sounds fascinating, and I can't wait to play it. So I'm glad other people saw it and loved it as much as I like the idea, from what I heard, I guess. Number 2 on the Roper Report is Sean Layden. Sean Layden is saying that games can come out whenever the hell they want to, and it doesn't matter. Over at golem.de, Sean has this quote: "Games are a bit of a business, and timing is very important. By the end of the year, people simply have more money, but it changed a little. Horizon Zero Dawn, for example, was released in February and very successful. Batman Arkham Knight came out a few years ago, right after E3, and the demand for it almost exploded. We can now publish the really high-quality games almost at any time. It is difficult, if almost at the same time it is difficult if almost at the same time a similar top game appears, as was the case with last year's business." Can big AAA games come out whenever, Andrea? Because forever it was, you're coming out maybe in spring, or you're coming out in the fall and you're going to compete with everybody in November and it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yes and no. Yes, it doesn't matter the quarter that you come out in as much as it used to. We're seeing really giant tentpole AAA games being released in Q1 and Q2, where traditionally those were reserved for Q3 and Q4, in particular for holiday. But you can't just release them willy-nilly. You gotta have to look and see what else is coming out in that release window, because you don't want to stack a game that has a very similar competitor, too close to each other. We saw this last fall with Battlefield and Titanfall 2 and Call of Duty all coming out within 3 weeks of each other. And clearly all 3 of those games suffered in overall sales because there was too much choice, and most gamers can't afford to buy 3 games in a month.
If you're a big shooter fan, you'd like to space out your $60 purchases.
Absolutely. And so I don't think that they can come out whenever they want. There needs to be some thoughtful decision as to these release dates and some strategy involved. But I get what he's saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've seen so much success, you figure, when you talk about Sony stuff, right? Where Bloodborne was a late spring one. God of War is always over in the March area. Horizon, of course, was this super early spring. Last of Us was right around E3 a few years ago. They, for the longest time, we as an industry were sitting here going like, man, Sony's so fucked. They got nothing for the fall. And it's just year after year with the PlayStation 4 worked in their advantage of they don't need anything for the fall because everybody's playing on the PlayStation 4. So let the third parties, these third party publishers duke it out and worry about, we're going to cannibalize each other's sales, and then you'll get a Horizon later on. Or, what they've talked about with 2018 where Sean had a quote from last week saying that all the games that said 2018 in their trailer are coming out in that first half of the year. In the next 12 to, I think he said 16 months. So it's like, they clearly aren't marching to their own beat here, and I think they get to do it because they are PlayStation, because, what is competing with Horizon Zero Dawn, right? Like, it came out right before Zelda. But even when we got Zelda, we were all like, oh, these actually are different games. These aren't the same experience. I like them for different reasons.
Right. I mean, Mass Effect also was a competitor because they're all these big open world RPGs, but clearly they served different audiences, but I still haven't played Zelda because I chose to play Horizon and Mass Effect instead. And I'm sure there are people who chose to play Zelda instead of playing Horizon.
Sure.
And, that's an unfortunate place to be in from a fan perspective. From a business perspective, it didn't really matter to Sony because they don't see Nintendo probably as direct of a competitor.
Right now, right? Because, let's look at install. Right. Let's say everybody who owns a Switch buys Zelda, there's still way more PlayStation 4s to worry about.
And we saw that in the NPD numbers. Right, that Zelda, despite its wide critical acclaim, everybody's saying shouting from the rooftops how amazing the game was. It just could not compete with how many boxes the other 2 guys own.
Sure.
And that might change over time. Clearly, Nintendo is on a roll right now. He had a huge showing at E3. Switches are still hard to find. They have, best game of show going into holiday.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see at this point next year where the competition lies.
100%. You kind of hinted at it, but Paul G wrote in to kindafunny.com/KFGD, just like you can, and says, kinda funny, goddamn. So Sean Layden says high quality games can be released any time of the year. Given how your years have gone. When is a good time for you personally to invest in a new AAA single player IP? How about a new multiplayer game? Are there ideal times? Are there bad times?
Certainly ideal times. I think summer is a great time to invest in a new big AAA IP because there's not a lot of stuff that comes out in the summer because historically summer is family vacations, it's travel, people aren't in school, the weather's nicer, so for certain parts of the country and the world, you're outside more, you're not inside playing your game. But that being said, games are more portable now than ever.
Yep.
Especially on consoles like the Switch.
Yeah.
So why not release a big game in June, like Batman was released, and give people the summer to play through that?
Well, that's, where I think, for us personally, it's different, right? The holidays, I feel, are always not the best time. It always sounds great. We're leading into it. And as a kid, it was Christmas break. It was this. I'm going to sit, in the basement and play now that I have 2 weeks off school. But as we've gotten older, I feel like it becomes, well, no, if you release something in leading up to Black Friday, I have to go back to Thanksgiving. So am I taking the PlayStation with me? And then I'm back, but I'm only back for 2 weeks before I go somewhere else for Christmas now to do this. And I'm trying to balance family time with all these different things. I think Horizon was a great example of, hey, we're out of the holidays. Hey, you've settled back into your New Year routine. Here it is. February is right where where Persona was supposed to drop. That again, you have this time period of not much is happening. You're settling into your new routine. You get to do all these different things. And then again, for us, I always thought it was interesting, like you're saying, to put a game out in summer and put it out after E3. If you can get it right leading into E3, everybody's hair is on fire and nobody can worry and play anything and focus on anything. After E3, granted, there's more shows, but that's when it becomes hit or miss on who's going to what. And I think to get there and have that opportunity to, like you're saying, with where Batman fell, or I thought Metal Gear Solid 5 had a great release date, September 1st. Like that was a really good one of okay, cool, it's not crazy holiday season yet, and it's not, the rush of conventions are over. Actually get in here now, invest all these hours into it and do something. Yeah,
absolutely. I think September is a great time as well. I think January is becoming a month where publishers are looking at as a potential release window as well. We've only seen a few games of a release in January. And Dying Light is one that comes to mind.
What a great move. That was a master stroke by them because they put it out there and it was all right, cool. Everybody has these boxes now, these brand new next gen consoles or whatever they got from Christmas. They want to play something new on it. And here's this zombie game that I think in a normal period would be regarded as, oh, this is fun. This is really good. But I think when there's not that much else, there's no other oxygen, you're going to get to run and play with it. And I think that also is what we're talking about with Horizon, where it was the fact of oh man, Sony's got their work cut out for them. They're going up against Zelda and a Mass Effect game. And Mass Effect came out and disappointed. And so it was that thing of oh my God, wait a second. That's great. And then it was the fact that, well, I can't fucking find a Switch, so where am I? And I'm not going to play Zelda on Wii U, please.
I do want to say, though, it doesn't seem to matter if people are busy if the game is really excellent, and I'm going to use Overwatch as an example.
Sure.
That released in May, which has been, a pretty popular month for some big games. Rockstar releases games in May, some other people have. And May, for industry people, is an incredibly busy month as we, lead into Judges Week and into E3, so we don't really have a lot of time, but for people who don't work in the industry, that's a great time because you're kind of got senioritis, you're wrapping up school, you're almost done, you're going into summer, and it clearly didn't matter how busy people were. If the game's good enough, you'll make time.
And that's a great point. If the game's great, people are going to play it, and it'll be a standout, and you don't have to worry about it. But there is that thing of it's such an interesting and delicate chess game of figuring out if, I've never been on the other side, obviously, of plotting a game's release date or anything to that extent. But when can you put out a game that you probably won't get squashed by the competition, and you're giving the influencers or IGNs or whatever enough time where they can actually play it and talk about it so that they're increasing, amplifying your message and stuff. Because it's always the thing you see with E3 where it's now people are always oh man, why are so many people doing things outside of E3? And it's well, they're terrified of E3, and when there's a new Mario game and that's all anyone fucking talks about.
Yeah.
You need to get out in front of all those messages and make it work. Andrew, you want to know what's coming out today?
I sure do.
Then let's go to the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kinda Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every day. Do. That's for you, Kev. Out today on PlayStation 4, if I'm lying, I'm dying, Jump Jet Rex, finally. Mike from Filthy Casual's game. That was supposed to be on the Vita as well. I don't know where that is, Mike. But it's on PlayStation 4, a little platform with a dinosaur, so why not give it a shot? Also, Crazy Strike Bowling EX on Xbox One. And then you were telling me there's a Futurama mobile game.
Yeah, so I bring this up, and I know there's thousands of mobile games that come out every week, but Futurama Worlds of Tomorrow, I've gotten a lot of press releases about this game, so I wanted, if people were interested, to know that it is out on Android today, and I believe it's coming to iOS later this week. Let me double check.
You do it, don't worry. Hey everybody, it's Greg. Kinda Funny Games Daily. Be part of the show, kindafunny.com/KFGD. Kevin, back to the wad.
And now I can't find the press release, so
don't worry about it. We get something wrong, hit us up at kindafunny.com/you're wrong. Kinda Funny Games Daily. We're there for you.
Thanks.
No problem. I got you.
I appreciate that.
I can fill that all day long. You just
can
tell me.
you?
Yeah.
Should I make you just keep going?
Sure.
Just
hey
keep
everybody,
going.
we're not going to be here next week, don't forget, but the inmates are running the asylum. Want to see what Andy Cortez and Cool Greg are going to play on PlayStation 2 on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. Come back at 11 a.m. all next week. It's crazy. They're doing crazy stuff. Back to the wad.
Perfect. I still don't
fuck
have
it. It's coming to iOS one day. You'll find it. New dates to talk about. Pinball FX3 has been announced. It's coming this summer. Finally. The Zen Pinball that became Pinball FX, that became all these different things, is finally getting a true sequel, which means they can have more trophies. Because of course they stopped being able to use trophies, Andrew. It was horrible. It was terrible. All your old
travesty.
All your old pinball tables will carry over to this one along with the new stuff, and they're focusing more on multiplayer and stuff like that. So congratulations to them. Kirby's Blowout Blast is coming to 3DS July 6th. Enjoy that. Orcs Must Die Unchained is coming to PlayStation 4 July 18th. Now I want to tell you about your deals, Andrea.
I love me some deals.
Believe it or not, a whole bunch of them today. Whole bunch of things.
All
you
right.
weren't here yesterday. I had a discussion with the one and only pure one, Tim Gettys.
Yes.
About where do we put Xbox games with gold / the PlayStation Plus games. And we agreed on deals. We think that's because it's not its own news story for the most part, you know what I mean?
No. But deal sounds good.
And that's so yesterday games with gold got published. Today, PlayStation Plus July games and goodies are up. If you are subscribing to PlayStation Plus come July, you'll be getting Until Dawn on the PlayStation 4, Game of Thrones on the PlayStation 4, Tokyo Jungle on the PS3, Darkstalkers Resurrection on PS3, Elemental on PS Vita, Don't Die Mr. Robot on PS Vita, which is also cross-buy with the PlayStation 4. Now here's where it gets interesting. From the PlayStation blog, additionally, from July 4th through October 24th, all PlayStation Plus members can get That's You in celebration of PlayLink's launch. That's a big announcement. That's a brand new game.
What is That's You?
That's You is their Jackbox game. They're actually, if you want to hang out and be part of That's You, they're coming through to do a Let's Play with us right after this episode.
I would love to, but my What's Good Games girls are on the way into town.
They're all landing. I understand.
Got a lot of stuff going on.
That's You is another one of those Jackbox games. It's PlayLink, so you're playing with your phone. It is like answering questions about each other, drawing faces, doing all that stuff, but playing through the screen and doing that.
I love how when you Google it, this is the first thing that comes up.
There's Shu in the video.
Shuhei.
Worth pointing out why, I'm excited because the trailer looked great. It turns out Mike Drucker wrote for the game. So I'm excited to see some of his work in there too.
He's a lovely person.
And then if you ever remember Dax from Rocksteady, the Batman games.
Of course.
He left there and he's working at the studio now too. He was the first guy to hit me up and be like, hey, we're making this game.
He's got so much crazy energy.
He does. He is a crazy human being who was like, I'm so excited. He for a while, he was like, he's like, you want to do a Let's Play? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I'll fly. I'm like, you're not going to fly here from the UK to do a That's
He would, though.
And he's like, I will. And I'm like, we can set it up without you. And we did it. So he's very nervous not to be here, but we're excited to do that. That'll be our party mode for next week. So get ready for that. And then also for PlayStation Plus users, Orcs Must Die Unchained is launching in closed beta on July 18th. As a PlayStation Plus member, not only will you get access to the beta, but you'll get an exclusive Orcs Must Die Unchained Plus pack as part of your membership. The $20 pack is only available until August 15th, so get it while you can, says the PlayStation blog. I'm going to go back to kindafunny.com/KFGD so you can be part of the show. Skeet yeet, yeet skeet.
So this is different than the skeet skeet yeet yeet from before, or is this the same person?
I imagine it's the same person, but if you feel like I read it the other way, maybe Skeet's just changing the yeets every time he writes in. You know what I mean? Because there's no username. He can just submit whatever name he wants when he writes in.
Maybe he's being clever.
This time, Skeet Yeet Yeet Skeet writes in and says, should there be some sort of alternative reward system for when a free PlayStation Plus game that subscribers already own is one of the free games? It is now the 4th month in a row where I've already owned at least one of the free PlayStation 4 games. And since I am paying for the 2 free PlayStation 4 games every month, shouldn't I get something else if I already own them?
I hate to say this, but no.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is that they choose games based on a variety of factors, and what is in your library is not one of them.
Yeah. I agree. And it's like, it's one of those, it sucks, but it's like, this is the dice roll you're going for. And I think if you were to talk to PlayStation, they would be like, well, your PlayStation Plus membership is so much more than just the games you're getting, right? It's the ability to play online.
Right.
It's the weekly discounts on things. It's not as what did they used to call it? The instant game library or instant game collection. It's not focused on that anymore like it was when it launched with PlayStation 3.
It's just RNGs just being bad to you.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing of like, don't get me wrong, Until Dawn's a fantastic game. I would hope most of you own it by now to support people who are making really cool shit and send a message to Sony, you want more games like that from Supermassive. And now they have like 3 in the works, so I guess the message got through loud and clear. But it's that thing of like, I feel like by the time it gets here, this is that thing of like, well, you don't, come on. You know what I mean? Like, this is there to get the people who were never going to buy this one. Game of Thrones, I thought, was an underwhelming Telltale series. I don't know if you played it.
I played all the way through episode 4, and I was so frustrated by the mechanical problems in the game that I just couldn't bring myself to do episode 5, which is like, I keep telling myself, well, I should go back and find out what happened.
Right there. You got a platinum waiting.
But I just... If you really love Game of Thrones, the narrative and the writing in that game is really excellent, and it's one of the few recent Telltale games where the choices really are difficult choices, really like life and death choices. Because if you are a Game of Thrones fan and you watch the show, like crazy stuff happens in that show and that book series all the time, and that's reflected in the Telltale series. So I was really disappointed that I had some. Like hitching and glitching bugs, that kind of thing. And
that classic Telltale gameplay.
Well, and the art style is just something I couldn't get into. I really loved how they brought in some of the original cast members to do VO. I thought that was excellent. Yeah. But I would look at some of the artwork and the art design in that game and go, this is what you're going to do for Game of Thrones? Right. And it's hard for me to criticize them because I've never made art for a video game, and I want to make that clear. But comparing it to other games in the space that are similar in style to that game, I can only say like, hey, look at what these people over here are doing. How is it that you're working on this massive license, Game of Thrones, and this is what you're going to put out for it? Yeah. You know, I was disappointed.
No, I'm with you. Like, and that was the thing where it's like, I'm not the biggest Game of Thrones fan. So I played through episode 1. I was like, all right, cool, not for me, and didn't worry too much about it. But I'm having the same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy. Where Guardians of the Galaxy is here now, and it's like awesome, and you jump in, and they are totally, it's not set in the same, any of the universes or any of that crap, but it's like, they're clearly aping the movie and James Gunn, and like, there's the awesome mixtape, and music's a big part of it, and it's like, that's awesome, I love that, but the fact that they're like, 75% in on that makes it it's just like, I can't, if you're not going to go that extra 25%, I just can't get into this game.
And they've set a precedence now where they're getting the original or matching voice talent for other franchises. I mean, if you look at Tales from the Borderlands, having, people like Mikey Newman come in and voice a character. So,
well, Handsome Jack himself, right? Damian Clark.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And so it's like, if you can't get the voice talent for Guardians, which I get why you can't.
100% I'm with you.
They're all big movie stars.
Right. But if you can't, right?
It's tough.
Go in another direction. Yeah. Give me a brand new telling of Guardians that doesn't, I mean, like, this is not supposed to be in the movie universe, but it's in the movie. You know what I mean? Like, so like, I know those characters so well, and I love them so much that as much as I love Scott Porter, like Scott Porter being Star-Lord, it's not even his delivery isn't working for me. It's like the character's facial model isn't working for me. And it is the thing like you're talking about where it is like, it's a Telltale game, so like you see the strings and you see the edges, and like it's like this isn't immersive in a way that's working for me. Where as opposed to, I feel like, did you play Batman?
Watched John play Batman.
Batman I thought was excellent because, and this is the thing I remember talking to people as we were playing through it of like, you start episode 1 and you're like, oh, it's Batman, cool. And then episode 1 ends in a place where it's like, what the and like, sure enough, you start episode 2 and they didn't take it back. They're all in on like, no, this is our Batman, this is our universe, this is how this is going to play out, and it's not going to be a Batman story you've had before.
Well, and that's why I really loved The Wolf Among Us. I thought it took this, comic book world that a lot of people know, but it gave a nice little twist on it, and it was characters that I wasn't familiar with. Sure. So I didn't have a preconceived notion going in as to what it was going to be, and I thought they did a really excellent job telling the story. And because of the style of the comics and how they related that in the game, I was able to overlook some of the bugs and glitches that were in that game because it felt like it fit canonically. Like it was a better canonical fit than Game of Thrones.
100%. Yeah. And that's the thing where it's, I think when Telltale nails it so many times, and when they're fucking crushing it, you forgive all these little things, right? Like Batman was so good. And so like and honestly, for the most part, playing through Batman, with the exception of the finale, like Batman was so good, and for me, relatively bug-free and crash-free and all stuff. Like I know that's, the joke with Telltale, but like episode 5 leading into, like that was the one, right, where I had the eyeballs running around, no body attached, and where it like hard locked 3 times in the finale fight. But it's like, I gotta finish this. I gotta know how this ends. So you keep coming back and going through it. And it's the same thing with like original Walking Dead season 1, where it would be like those hard cuts and those hard jumps between scenes, but it's like, this is so fucking good. I'm willing to forgive that for this moment. Keep going. And that was always my argument when we talked about Game of the Year that year, where it's like, my heart wants to vote for Walking Dead, but I can't say that is Game of the Year based on how it runs and performs. Like that's not where I don't want to look back and see all these videos of this game fucking up and like that, because there's so much more to Game of the Year than something else. While we're on this Telltale tangent, I want to jump over to Jackson Giles, who wrote in to kindafunny.com/KFGD, just like you can. It says, what license would you like to see Telltale do next? I want them to do Archie. That's not out of the realm of possibility with the Riverdale show and Archie being all over the place. And they do interesting things with Archie, him fighting Predator and aliens and all this crap and him being dead. For me, what I've said from the get-go, and I yell at them when I host panels with them usually, is the fact that I think they could do Superman. And I think they could do Superman. It would be, if they did a Telltale game and it was a Superman game, they would have, I think, no problem making the best Superman game of all time. Because the problem people have with Superman, right, is like, oh, I'm Superman, but I can't fly to space, and oh, it's boring to get hit and not. I mean, like Telltale's all about choices. So like you have the choice of like, am I going to play this as Clark or am I going to play this as Superman? How do I run off? Fail states wouldn't have to be dying. Fail states would be you running and someone seeing you turn into Superman. You know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of fun ways to play with that, and then have the action and be how it is in Batman of moving the stick, doing this thing, quick time events for the most part, but using that. Who do you save? Why do you save them? Have it not be a dark Superman game, but a Superman game that does have consequences to fucking it up.
Yeah.
And
cool.
Is there any franchise you'd want?
You
just hate Superman? Is that what you're driving at?
I don't hate Superman. I'm just not particularly jazzed by Superman. He's fine. He's aight. He's a cool guy.
He's aight.
It's tough. This is a really broad question. I mean, because my inner child is like, oh, wouldn't it be great if they made like a Care Bears Telltale game?
Whoa, okay.
But then I think, well, where's the conflict in that? Obviously, there is conflict within that as a series, but not in a really dramatic or emotional kind of way that you would have difficulty choosing between
which
choices.
Care Bear do you use?
And I just love Care Bears, but I don't know. I would love to see a Game of Thrones season 2 done the right way, because I think that world is set up to kind of give Telltale the narrative meat they need to create another original story, and to give them that awesome conflict in narrative that really drives the adventure-based part of that game, or of that, of what Telltale does, essentially.
Sure, I hope they come back for Batman season 2, because like their tease for the end was so good. Of like, I would love to play that, and they made so many interesting story threads.
Yeah.
While we're here in the deals, we're also tossing in the Xbox Game Pass editions. Yeah, that's right. Today, Xbox has added Dead Island Definitive Edition, Resident Evil 6, F1 2015, The Flame and the Flood, Guacamelee Super Turbo Championship Edition, which we love, Bard's Gold, and Monaco, What's Yours is Mine. Games Pass, pretty cool. One of the best things Xbox is doing, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of like, hey, go download these games, enjoy them, play them. I'm like, all right, cool.
I think it'll be interesting to see what kind of numbers they have, and if they're going to release, the numbers of people who have subscribed and what their user ratings are. And
if they hit impressive numbers, they will for sure. Yeah.
I think this is also kind of flying under the radar. I think people
100%.
are forgetting that this program exists.
Well, this is the whole thing going back to, I forget if it was one of the Games Daily you were on or if it was Tim, but in terms of like, Xbox is making all the pro gamer decisions, pro consumer, I guess, decisions to make it not like MLG, only Fatality can use these. The pro consumer decisions in a way of like trying to win back goodwill and make people care. But it is that fact of, I think, so many people see that announcement like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to keep playing my PlayStation 4. But I think if you are invested in the Xbox community and you only have, I think right now you get a 14-day trial for free with it. If you're there and you want to jump in and do that, and I think, what is it, $10 a month after that? Like
$9.99.
That's a great deal. Like that's an awesome deal to jump in and play all these games you missed and screw around with them. Like that's really cool.
Do you think that this is what PlayStation Now was originally intended to be and they kind of just whiffed? Or do you think that PlayStation Now is a different model altogether? Obviously, they're different.
Obviously.
But I think that maybe PlayStation Now could have been more successful if they went this route.
I 1,000% agree with you. Yeah. And that's what I'd honestly like to see PlayStation do. Because like when they bought Gaikai, we were all like, oh, fuck. Like they're actually going to nail it. They're going to do it. Streaming those games, there's still that little bit of latency and there is all this stuff. And like, it's like, oh, that sucks. I'd rather see them come out and be like, not hat in hand, but PlayStation Now didn't work the way we thought it would. We couldn't get the pricing model down. So what we're going to do is take that streaming technology and use it to, download to your system and use it like a PlayStation Plus thing. Cause like if they can lock me out of, when I'm not on my master console and I'm using a different console and I turn it on and I'm not connected to the internet and I can't play my PSN downloads, they can do that for this kind of thing. And this, if they were to do something like this on PlayStation 4, I think you'd see way more buzz about it, way more people would be interested, just because I think more people are using their PlayStation 4s based on the number of installs that would be super into this and would be like, yeah, I haven't played. And I've heard a lot of great things about Guacamelee and Flame in the Flood and all these different things. I also think that if you did that for PlayStation and gave PlayStation Plus users a discount on it, you'd have another reason of like, oh, well, this is why I'm doing it over Games Pass. This is why I'm doing it and not being offended like the last listener was, who was like, I already own most of these games that are coming. Well, it's okay, cool. Your PlayStation Plus subscription gives you free games for as long as you're here, but then also gives you a discount on a Games Pass to jump in and play something else you want. There's a bunch of cool things they could do with it. Will they ever? No, they're in front. Until they get passed by Xbox, they're not going to do anything.
That's true.
But they are having a PlayStation mid-year sale right now. Tons of games are on sale over there, like literally a whole bunch of them.
This is a great list.
Yeah, well, this is the smallest fraction of them. I just went through and pulled out stuff I knew we all liked. Over on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation VR, you can get Fallout 4 for $22.49, $20 with the PlayStation Plus. Far Cry 4 Gold Edition, $30 or $23. Mad Max there in Game of the Millennium, if you remember, $9.99 or $7.99. Middle Earth, Ratchet & Clank, Risk of Rain, Sound Shapes, Last of Us Left Behind Standalone, The Unfinished Swan, all up there right now with insane discounts. I mean, Last of Us Left Behind for $5 or $4. Come on. Over on PlayStation Vita, you can get Freedom Wars if you're a PS Plus subscriber for $3. Now, granted, you got Freedom Wars for free if you downloaded it back in the day. But if you didn't, here you go. Jump on.
Missed out.
God of War Collection, Gravity Rush, Little Big Planet, PlayStation All-Stars, Battle Royale, Severed, Tearaway, Uncharted Golden Abyss for $6 if you're
That is a great price.
Yeah. And then I missed this one. Mikey Van called it out when he wrote in to kindafunny.com/KFGD, just like you can. He says Overcooked is currently 50% off for Xbox Live Gold members.
If you want to yell at your friends, play Overcooked.
It's true. That's how Overcooked ends. I love Overcooked.
I played it for the first time when we streamed it a couple weeks ago.
No way, really?
Yeah, it just was one of those games that kind of slipped through the cracks and I missed out on it, and I heard a bunch of people playing it. And then when we finally played it, I was like, this game is really fun.
Yeah.
And I worked in restaurants for a really long time. Yeah. So it was kind of like...
Dude, I love Overcooked. I hope they make a sequel. I hope they put way more... put out DLC with trophies, more trophies. Come on. You know what I mean, Kev? Now, Kev, I see you leaned back over there, which makes me think I screwed up or Tim screwed up. We have to do that ad here. Can we prep the World of Tanks ad? You prepping it? You let me know when you're ready. Hey, everybody, it's Greg Miller. kindafunny.com/KFGD to be part of the show. We're going to jump into reader mail. But before then, I want to tell you, this episode is brought to you by World of Tanks, but I don't want to do it till the ad's up. You ready, Kev? This episode is brought to you by World of Tanks. World of Tanks is an epic team-based, massively multiplayer online action console game dedicated to tank combat. It's on PS4, PS4 Pro, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox One S, and coming soon to the new system, the Xbox One X. Command history's most powerful tanks and experience tactical combat like never before. In World of Tanks console, you can battle up to 30 other players in over 450 historically accurate World War II armored vehicles from the 1930s through the 1950s. World of Tanks console is a AAA game that's free to play. World of Tanks console was built from the ground up for consoles taking full advantage of both PlayStation and Xbox's unique capabilities. For Kinda Funny morning show listeners, and I know that's not this, but stick with me. World of Tanks console has a special offer for new players who sign up this month. Go to wrg.am/funnytank and grab your free tank garage slot in 3 days of premium game time while this lasts. The number of registration codes is limited. That's World of Tanks, literally on every console ever. Also on PC, but we're not talking about that because, PC, blah, no trophies there. But you get a garage slot here. Did you ever play World of Tanks?
I've played a little bit of it, yes.
Yeah, me too. I've done demos before. I was always like, oh, this is cool. Not my thing, but like the fact that it's got this engaged, awesome community is what I was talking about with Tim today. It's like, it reminds me of what we're talking about on the show all the time, of Paragon and Dota and all these different things that like, if you don't know about it, you don't know about it. And then you walk in and like suddenly there's all these people who love it.
I have millions of people play World of Tanks.
People like tanks. World of everything. Let's check in with the readers.
Let's.
Of course, be part of the show, kindoffunny.com/KFGD. And let's start with Eric. Eric wants to give a nice little story here. He says, hey guys, catching up on yesterday's show and heard you talking about Ubisoft and being fan friendly and wanted to share this. I am a big Assassin's Creed fan and bought every game in the series. Around Christmas 2014, Ubisoft sent me an email thanking me for being a huge AC fan and offering me a free code to Far Cry 4, saying I might like that a lot too. I know they gave that out to fans free after the disaster that was Unity's launch, but I still really appreciated the gesture. Wanted to share, loving the new show, but I still miss the bonus episodes. Well, the bonus episodes, we're getting to watch the shows live now on Patreon. I think that's better. And we have plans for the bonus stuff. Don't worry about that. But yeah, yesterday we were talking about Vivendi coming for Ubisoft's launch and how we like Ubisoft. Like, I think they do a great job.
Ubisoft is great.
They do a great job of walking. We're a business, but we make art and we want to take care of people. That's a great space to be in. Yeah. Not a lot of companies do that.
A lot of companies don't have the luxury of doing that. They have a lot of very successful franchises that allow them to take artistic liberty when they want to.
True. Icy Flames 96 says, do you think the success / buzz of the Switch makes it more likely that Sony will make another handheld in the future?
No.
No, I don't either. I think that Vita got sent out to die, sadly, because it was the tale of two PlayStations. It was PS3 and PlayStation 4, and it was in the middle there, and it wasn't what it needed to be. I think I've always said it. If they would have treated the Vita like they treated the PlayStation 4, different ball game. I think Vita would have been a lot more successful. People would be way more into Vita. But I feel the fact that what Sony and Microsoft, for that matter, when they look at Nintendo, they see something they can't be. I don't think either Xbox or PlayStation 4 is considering our next console needs to be a hybrid. It needs to be able to do both. I think that they want to continue to push graphics. They want to continue to push immersion. They want to VR, storytelling, all this stuff. And for them, that means horsepower. And I think as you march down that path, you see Nintendo in a space that they just don't feel they need to go into. And until, there was an interesting gaff thread yesterday that I almost brought in as a show topic, but it was talking about, do you think the success of the Switch is making the Switch a primary console for some people when people didn't see that coming?
No.
Yeah, I don't either. I think that for me, it still is. I love my Switch, and I was, when we were running up to the launch, I was like, if Mass Effect was going to be on Switch and it was cross-platform, day and date on everything, I would have bought it on the Switch just to have it on the go so I could play it anywhere. And that would have been a big change for me. And the fact that that's not an option and that never will be an option, I think that's why Sony and Microsoft aren't really scared of what Nintendo's doing. They see them as a supplemental thing and an exclusive machine. There's
too many third-party publishers and developers who will not be bringing their games to Switch for it to be anybody's primary console, unless you are a 100% pure Nintendo fanboy or fangirl.
Yeah.
Right? That's just it. If you can't play the majority of what Bethesda's making, Ubisoft, EA, Activision, if you can't play those games on your Switch, then what's the point? I mean, we've already heard that games from Blizzard, like Overwatch, is not coming to Switch.
Sure.
So I don't know. I don't see a world where Switch would be anybody's number one console. And in relation to Sony making another handheld, Sony has many other business arms to Sony Global.
Sure.
Right? They have a movie studio, they have music, they make televisions and all other kinds of electronics and things like that. So I don't think that it would make sense for them to want to reinvest in another handheld console because they probably want to invest that money in other areas of the business.
Yeah. And I think that's
just my speculation.
It would have to be if the Switch was a runaway success in the way that people were like, this is all I'm playing, blah, blah. And they started to see PlayStation 4 and Xbox One numbers drop off. They saw, concurrence on games being dropped. Then you'd have an argument for oh man, maybe we have to adjust this. But otherwise, I think it's apples and oranges to a lot of things. And I think Sony knows that they wouldn't be committed to Vita 2 or whatever you want to call it, the way Nintendo's committed to Switch, and that's why it wouldn't be a success.
Now, Microsoft, on the other hand, maybe.
You think so?
Well, I mean, if you think about their portable computer offerings, Surface tablet, things like that, they probably are set up to have more success with a handheld or portable console if they can integrate Xbox and Windows 10 games together on like a Shield, or example, like a device like that. But I mean, I've talked to Phil Spencer and Aaron Greenberg about it, and they've both been like, ha, why would we do that when we have a Windows phone? Yeah. I was like, well, that makes sense, I guess.
I mean, that would be the interesting step of like making an Xbox whatever that's a PC on the go. And I know that's, stick with me, but you're branding a PC to be an Xbox machine that is, hey, it is your PC and you can do all your work on it, but it also plays games as well as an Xbox One S. And it, you know, it comes with a controller bundled in, and it is that thing. And that would be an interesting game changer in a way, because it is the, you know, play anywhere thing between Xbox or PC. It'd be interesting, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's likely.
No. I got a long one here from Shane. You ready?
Yep, ready.
Shane wrote in to kindafunny.com/KFGD and says, Greg and Andrea, I just discovered this morning from a random video that there's a SpiderMan Homecoming VR experience coming out this Friday exclusively for PlayStation VR. I don't think it's exclusive. Let me know at kindafunny.com/you're wrong. What? How did I not know about this? No, seriously. I am a gamer who is in the know, and I had no idea about this game. Sorry, experience. Which had a trailer the week before E3. I'm not saying this little experience is going to set the world on fire, but I am a PSVR owner who struggles to want to jump through the hoops to put my headset on. However, this silly Spider-Man thing will make me do it because I love Spider-Man. Does Sony need to have better messaging on VR games/experiences like this and Ghostbusters, which have brand power behind them despite their quality? I'm not saying this trailer should have been on the stage at E3, but heck, they could have thrown it in the pre-show. Do you think Sony needs to bring things like these to the forefront to show that they are actively supporting VR and catch the attention of the public that would love to swing around as Spidey? Do you think they need more tie-in experiences like this?
This is a tough question because E3 is all about video games, and I'm sure the video games branch of Sony doesn't necessarily want the movie division coming in and stealing their thunder.
Sure.
And we have seen some pretty bad tie-ins before. I haven't played this yet or seen it yet. Maybe it's not great.
It doesn't look great. That's the thing.
So maybe that's why they're like, hey, we're going to let this thing release, because maybe they have some kind of obligation contractually to do some kind of tie-in. But it didn't turn out the way they had hoped. So that's why they didn't promote it. They're like, okay, it's releasing, it's out. If you want it, cool. But we're not going to like pimp it out because it's not good. I don't know. I haven't played it yet.
The interesting thing for this is Shane's like, why wasn't I told about this? But you found out about it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing is like, granted, it didn't get delivered to you via OWL or something, but like the message got to you that this game is coming or this experience is coming and it's going to be there. I think that the struggle they have is predictable in a way, in the fact that PlayStation VR was sold to us, the hardcore gamer, and the hardcore PlayStation fan. And I think the messaging was on point, both on their side and then like when they pundits like us were saying like, hey, this is Gen 1. Shuhei's talking about he knows this is PlayStation 1 and not PlayStation 4. He knows this is a 20-year thing. And like, you watch this trailer, and my first response watching this trailer was like, man, I hope in 10 years we look back and laugh at this. Because it doesn't look terrible, but it's blocky ass buildings. And it looks like what I remember in quotes PS2 games looking like, where I'm sure PS2 games look way worse than this, but it's like super simple. I'm webbing this thing and throwing this over here and doing this thing. And like, you're not going to get free roaming, swinging around New York or anything like that. But they sold it to us as this is a device we're actively developing and we want you to get in there and try it. People bought that, and for the most part, as I said on PS I Love You for a long time, I was blown away that people are on board with that message still, of like, I bought it and I don't use it that much, but I'm okay with that. Like, I have good games for it. And I saw a thread on our own reddit.com/r/kindafunny, where somebody was like, no BS, are you okay with your VR purchase? And everybody was like, no, I'm totally fine with my PlayStation VR, and it sits there and it does this. I think the fact that the message gets to you is good. I think that, like, I was blown away that Ghostbusters VR experience dropped and nobody bothered to tell me. I didn't know about it till it came out. I was like, whatever. And then I heard it was like $15 and it's like, or I'm sorry, 15 minutes and not, and it was, I forget the price on it, but it was like, oh, okay, I understand why you're not pushing this out there. And the same thing here, where it's like, these are fun little experiences, but I don't think they're like game changers that you need to know about. And then also, how do you deliver that message? IGN is not going to do a preview of the VR experience here for Spider-Man if it's garbage and it looks not that great.
They might.
They might. I mean, well, I'd like to
Spider-Man gets clicks. We all know that.
It's true. I don't know. Like, I think they're in a weird spot of like, if you turn on, like, I would run PlayStation very differently, obviously. And I would jump in there and make it so, yeah, when you turn on your dashboard and you immediately pop on that what's new, there's an automatic video playing and it's Sid Schumann and Ryan Clements telling you about cool shit that's coming out today or that you didn't know, or here's this VR experience. But that's not how Sony chooses to run it. So you need to go to your houses to get this your silos to get this information. And so like now you've told us about it, Shane, so I'm talking about it here, and I watched the trailer today and I was so mad I watched the trailer, Andrea, because it started with Tom Holland talking and I was like, oh no, and then it went into footage from, and I've been blackout on Spider-Man, so I'm like, oh fuck, just show me the game, stop showing the movie, oh god, and I jumped ahead, I'm like, oh man, this doesn't look great, but the message is getting you.
Yeah, the press release is on SonyPictures.com. It wasn't on the PlayStation blog. At least,
does it say if it's exclusive to PlayStation VR? Because I could have sworn it said it was coming to other devices.
It is not exclusive. It is also coming to the Vive and the Oculus Rift.
Gotcha. I'm sure
starting June 30th.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is it tomorrow?
No. Today's the 28th. June 30th is Friday.
Yeah, today's Wednesday.
Yeah.
My bad, everybody.
Are you sure you're picking people up from the airport today?
I am.
Oh, no, they've been there 2 days in a row. Yeah, I think the message got to you. I think Sony needs to do a lot different with VR, but for where they are right now, I think they're okay. I thought I was impressed that there were games shown at E3. I'm impressed that things are still coming out for PlayStation VR. I'm impressed that their messaging was like, why promote it if you can't sell it, you can't buy it? Like, we're aware we have a problem and we're working on fixing it. And it's like, that's good. At least they're communicating it, because for a while there we were sitting there like, oh fuck, is this Vita again? Are they doing a Vita thing again where they're just going to put this thing out to die? But apparently it's still happening. You need to get on this VR train.
We have one at home.
I know, but you said before, you're like, nah, I'm not a big VR person.
It's because the headset's uncomfortable to wear for more than like 20 minutes.
It gets really hot, I'll give you that, but it's not the PlayStation VR. I
don't like having like VR face for like 2 hours after I'm done.
Yeah.
That impedes my lifestyle, having this imprint on my face. And it also just, if I sit down to play a game, I want to play for at least an hour. Okay. Preferably like 2 to 3, if not more hours. And you just cannot play for that long in VR. It's not healthy for you. It's not recommended by the people who make VR headsets to have those long of sessions. And that's why I haven't gotten into it. I've done a lot of really cool VR demos. Yeah. And played, like snippets of games in VR. I have yet to find a game in VR that has drawn me in and has said, come back and keep playing this game.
Yeah, for me it was Resident Evil. That's the game that I played, and I played for hours with it on my face in a pitch black room with Porty at my feet. And it was like, this is cool, but it has been that thing of like, there's all these other things that come out, and I look at them and like, it's clearly an experience. You know what I mean? How much am I really going to play? Like this weekend, I had the code for Arizona Sunshine, and I downloaded it, and I was like, maybe I'll try it here and do this. And
didn't you guys do that for party mode?
Well, no, we just did a Let's Play of it here in the office. But the prologue to that story was we were at home, and Jen was playing ARMS next to me, and I was playing Friday the 13th, of course. And then I was like, all right, cool, I want to play something else. And it was either going to be Crash Bandicoot or it was going to be Arizona Sunshine. And I was like, all right, well, honey, I'm going to go get the VR unit and try it. And she's like, you're going to get the VR unit? I'm like, yeah, is that a no-go? She's like, it's a bit isolating, isn't it? Like we're having a nice day here, hanging out, playing games together. Can you not put on a thing and disappear? I'm like, all right, cool. She's like, you can play it at work. I'm like, oh, thanks for your permission. And we came in to play it at work, and I was like, oh man, thank God I didn't drag out all the cables and do all this for this.
Yeah, this is me going back to being like the laziest console gamer. Sure. It's a setup, you know? And then you have to get the chair in the right spot. You got to get the camera out. You have to make sure your Move controllers have been charged. Yep.
That's a big problem, those Move controllers.
It's a rigmarole.
It is a rigmarole, if I ever heard of one. Andrew, let's squad up with somebody.
All right, let's do it.
We have our first person who wants Nintendo Switch friends. I'm impressed with that. Thank you. This is Josh. His Nintendo Switch code. Everybody get ready. SW099062115237. Thank you very much, Nintendo. Josh says, hey, Greg, I was wondering if I could get on Squad Up today. I'm going in for surgery today. Nothing super serious. And will be out of commission for the next few weeks. I love my Switch, but have no one to play it with since I am pretty sure I bought the only one in Cleveland. I play Mario Kart and Puyo Puyo. We'll also be getting Splatoon 2 day one. Love the content. Keep it up. And if Andrea's there, tell her I think she is awesome. beyond.
Thanks, Josh.
Everyone, send Josh Nintendo Switch friend code request. Again, that number, SW09906211523.
Someday Nintendo will get with the times.
Well, I don't know if they ever will. They're just doing their own thing, and it seems to be working out for them. I'm going to take one sip of water and then give you a spirited rant, Andrea.
Oh, okay.
We have a returning rotating segment called This Trophy Can Go Fuck Itself. This was submitted by the Silent Gamer. The segment, This Trophy Can Go Fuck Itself. And then he puts, please read in Angry Greg ad read voice. I don't know if I've ever done the angry ad reads. I think I just do your... Anyways. My submission for this is Champion Gold on Rayman Legends, specifically Vita, which tasks you with getting in the top 1% worldwide on one of the daily challenges, which is an absolutely bloody ridiculous fucking trophy. As someone who decided to play this game about 4 years after it came out, only about 200 people were doing the daily challenges, which means to earn this, I have to be number 2 in the world, and ain't nobody got time for that. Not to mention there's some arsehole, insert British oi here, oi, who manages to get Rayman to rum, he says, 12 km or something ridiculous like that, who is at the top of the leaderboards every single day. Hey, Ubisoft! Hey, Ubisoft! Am I expected to beat that guy with my middling Rayman skills? What do you think I am? A pro gamer? A Rayman esports champion? Is there $1 million prize pool that I'm missing out on? Now, I can imagine this trophy may have been somewhat less of a pain in the arse when the game first came out and everyone was raving about playing Rayman on the go. But still, 1%! 1% This has got to be a wind-up or something. Some social commentary on the 1% being better off or something. Grasping at straws here. It feels like they deliberately designed this trophy so nobody would get it. But why? As fun as Rayman is, I'm not going to grind the daily challenges every day so I can eventually possibly come second to the 15-kilometer guy. Am I supposed to incorporate it into my daily schedule? Come home from work, spend hours playing Rayman, go to sleep, go back to work? Is that what is expected of me? Is this possible? Is this a parable of the failings of man? Food for thought on the Kind of Funny Games Daily and rant. Thanks for the great show and keep up the good work. Smiley emoticon.
Kevin, are your ears okay?
Kevin survived. I love a good spirited rant.
Woo.
People get fired up by these trophies, you know?
I mean, that is a very valid reason 100%. To get 1%? Incredibly upset.
Come on, man. Come on.
That's just mean-spirited.
Yep. A lot of I'm telling you, consult me for your trophies. I will help you be on the right path. You know what I mean? The people, they overthink it too much. They put all these things in there. They think it's going to be fun. And, no, it's not fun.
So what's worse, no platinum or an impossible platinum?
Wow, Andrea Renee. That's a deep question.
You don't have to answer right now if you don't have an answer. Think about it. Maybe we'll talk about it.
I would think an impossible platinum because it's demoralizing. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I mean, like, I like to give Steve Gaynor shit because he didn't put a platinum and gone home. But like, to know that there's a game out there you can't get. Like, he makes a great. He's got a job. He's got things to do. He can't sit there and try to be this. You know, like, you want a platinum to be achievable. That's the most important thing. So many people screw it up. I don't know what's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily for June 28th. 2017. Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow, the pure one, Tim Gettys, will be joining me once again. Andrew Renee's off to do more What's Good games. That's true, but before you go, I have just a short post from kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. What did we miss today? Futurama World of Tomorrow is coming to iOS on June 29th. Gotcha. That is tomorrow. SpiderMan Homecoming VR experience. It is not exclusive, which we talked about. Andrea said that Infinite Warfare, Battlefield 1, and Titanfall 2 all suffered in sales due to the small amount of time between the releases. While Infinite Warfare and Titanfall were indeed reported to have lower than expected sales, EA reported that Battlefield 1 sales were actually higher than expected through the quarter, with executives proclaiming it the biggest Battlefield launch ever. Okay. So maybe people who would have bought Titanfall or Call of Duty bought Battlefield instead. Gotcha. I mean, I think my point still stands. I'm still with you that I think best Battlefield launch of whatever, great. I still think more people would have bought it if they hadn't necessarily just bought a Titanfall or a Call of Duty.
Right. But thank you very much for that clarification.
That's it.
That's it.
All right, great. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Kind of Funny Games Daily needs your support. Right into kindoffunny.com/KFGD with your questions. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/kindoffunnygames.
I don't mean to interrupt you. One last thing. Aaron sent in a technical difficulty thing that I'm not going to read because it's not a correction. But
Okay.
Aaron, I've got it. I'm going to let Kevin know we're on it.
Kevin always knows the technical. Kevin's doing his big shrug over there. If you got a podcast service, go over there, download us, rate us there, subscribe to us there. Even if you don't ever plan to use it, thank you. It helps us get the show to new people. Remember, RTX next week. So no show technically next week, but the kids will be here doing stupid stuff on Twitch if you like that. And if you're watching on Twitch right now, we're going to sign off, end the show, and then I'll come back and read your tips and subs. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.